high school applicants and parents besiege Education Ministry to demand SHS placement.
Also, tonight, government to investigate the purported leases granted Exton Cubic Group to mine bauxite in Ashanti region as it revokes company's license.
Also ahead this evening, Interior Minister orders the IGP to institute measures to bring to book a police officer accused of raping a 22-year-old woman in June last year.
The bulletins evening. Meanwhile, 2 persons are in the grip of the police in Kumasi for possessing counterfeit money.
And ahead in business, ports go paperless as clearing agents at Tema haggle with the process. We've got the details of these stories for you, plus the very latest from the world of sports and entertainment, as well as the international front here on News 360. So stay with us. On to our very first story this evening. The Interior Minister, Asiedu-Dartey, has ordered the Inspector General of Police to institute measures to bring to book a police officer accused of raping a 22-year-old woman. The victim is still seeking justice more than a year after she reported the incident.
The protracted communal conflict in Nkonya and Alavanyo has gone beyond bounds, claiming scores of lives and maiming hundreds of others. Efforts by government and other civil organizations to bring peace have failed, leaving peace-loving indigents frustrated.
And it seems the foundation is not strong. I am saying so because there's a conflict. A lot of people have been killed. And then the victims are dead, the families are dead, the children are dead. They have grievance in them. But nobody is talking about that. You have to talk about land peace, land peace, land peace.
And in preaching this peace, we need to fish out those individuals that are committing this crime. And when we start doing that, I think that it will deter the others from going forward to further commit additional crime.
In the views of the Executive Director of West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, Chukwuemeka, all the approaches over the years have failed because they were not situated on the right premise.
I think the greatest tool in resolving conflict today that everybody knows is dialogue. And this dialogue is not something that you need to provide on a one-off basis. It's something that needs to be institutionalized. We need to create avenues for people to be able to resolve their disputes. And this, in my opinion, have to start at the community level. How do we ensure that the community institutions are strengthened in such a way that they are able to provide services in terms of conflict resolution? And not just in terms of conflict resolution, but in terms of also understanding the dynamics of and trends of this conflict early enough so that they can be nipped in the bud.
By the Interior Minister Asiedu-Dartey, thinks government has measures in place to bring lasting peace.
You realize that for once you are seeing a certain consistency and a certain participation, especially by the media. That was the right approach. We want that to be intensified going forward, that all of us need to put our hands to the wheel. And when it comes to that, we must rise above petty partisan considerations.
He called on the 2 neighbors to support initiatives geared towards promoting peace in the area.
And what you just saw there was a story on the long-time pending conflict between Nkonya and Alavanyo communities there. And the Executive Director of the West African Network for Peace Building, Chukwuemeka, is proposing the use of local and traditional institutions to address the long-standing Nkonya-Alavanyo conflict in both communities. And according to him, local institutions have closer ties with the people and can best speak to their conscience. And that was the story that you just saw there earlier, Alfred.
Absolutely. So let's go on to earlier story where the Interior Minister, Asiedu-Dartey, has ordered the Inspector General of Police to institute measures to bring to book a police officer accused of raping a 22-year-old woman. The victim is still seeking justice more than a year after she reported the incident.
Commence investigations into the rape case, though the complaint was filed at the Medina police station in June last year. The Interior Minister, Asiedu-Dartey, wants the incident thoroughly investigated and the perpetrator brought to book.
They must, and I've insisted all the time that the test is for the police themselves to be able to stand up to what we expect of them, and that when they do fall foul of the law, they must set a good example. Absolutely. But we are also looking to ensure that if that does not happen, that we do intervene and make sure the right thing happens.
The 22-year-old victim was allegedly kidnapped and raped by Corporal Adam Kelvin Sampson of the
E&P was seized. There's been a back and forth with the Lands Minister and Ashanti Regional Minister over the seizure.
Once it was granted to us on the 7th of June 2016, it will lapse on the 6th of June 2018.
The company, Exton Cubic, reacted fiercely, saying all requirements have been met. The company believes there's a political motivation behind the alleged seizure of their equipment and subsequent tussle in the media. Government has made a final determination on the controversy.
There is no record of an acceptance of the offer of the mining lease in writing by the company as mandatorily prescribed by Section 13, subsection 4 of the Act. The absence of publications of the Gazette of Notice of the pendency of the company's applications and service of notice of the various entities specified in the law is contrary to both Section 13, subsection 2 of Act 703 and Regulation 177 of LI 2176. In the circumstances above, and in accordance with Section 87 of Act 703, the 3 mining leases are hereby revoked.
The government insists of wrongdoing in the acquisition of the concession. Exton Cubic, when contacted, says it will not comment on the matter. The youth of Nyinahini recently protested and gave government a 24-hour ultimatum to remove all machines belonging to Exton Cubic Group Limited from the area. A petition to the president appealed to him to order all machinery of Exton Cubic Company to be impounded until all stakeholders reach a proper agreement. Exton, however, has lamented it loses $40,000 daily as a result of the seizure. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
All right, so that's the latest to this. Now, I've been joined via Skype by Samuel Mato, is the National Coordinator of Forest Watch Ghana and a civil society organization in the forestry sector. So, Mato, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hi, good evening to the 3 and then to your listeners.
Well, the minister is talking about all 3 licenses given to Exton revoked. I'll find out your thoughts about this particular development.
Well, I want to break it down into several aspects. The first will be the fact that Forest Watch and several other NGOs have been campaigning for the protection of Tanofin Forest Reserve. It's because we consider that reserve is considered a globally significant biodiversity area because of the different kind of species that are there and the need for us to protect it. So the last happy about, so no mining for now. I think the second part of our campaigning around this has also been around the processes in which this company, Exton Cubic, was granted.
Hello? Hello, Mr. Walter. Okay, we apologize for this. Now, we're going to come back to him very shortly on this to help him, actually have him finish the point that he was making. But you're still live here on News 360. We'll be back shortly and continue this. Do stay.
News 360 Skype interview is brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go.
In other news this evening, the national buffer stock is to register bulk suppliers for senior high schools across the country. The move, according to the Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, would guarantee standard pricing and quality.
The sector minister made this known at a parliamentary select committee meeting with stakeholders on education in Koforidua. Dr. Opoku-Prempeh pointed out all contracts would be signed by schools and suppliers through the National Buffer Stock Company.
Contracts are going to be signed by the schools and the suppliers. What we have said is to guarantee prices and quality. The National Buffer Stock Company is registering all bulk food suppliers, both private and public.
On the teacher licensing issue, he said government does not intend to stop the process, which is currently under negotiations.
The process is going through consultations with a lot of things already done, even manuals, guidelines, a lot of things. And that has involved 100% of the teacher unions engagement.
Other speakers cautioned the head of senior high schools not to demand unapproved fees from parents and guardians as government rolls out the free senior high school program. Members of the committee were hopeful that the deliberations would pave way for quality education delivery.
Now, two teacher unions have given the Controller and Accountant General's Department 1 week to issue general guidelines for those whose salaries have been suspended to be validated. The National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Teachers and Education Workers Union, TEWO, have warned that any delay could trigger unrests.
The salaries of 7,000 public sector workers who failed to be validated were suspended for August, with more than 60% of them from the Ghana Education Service. Affected employees have been asked to be validated before the end of September. But the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, Christina Daipoku, expects the Controller and Accountants General's Department to within a week allow affected teachers to be validated.
From now, in the next 2 weeks, they will start payroll run again. And when they start, it is difficult to make any changes. So in the shortest possible time, this week or next week, they have to make sure that they engage Ghana Education Service fully and then resolve the issues, because the teachers cannot continue to stay at home, continue to work for 2 months without pay. That will not be permissible.
The president, while acknowledging the human resource challenges at the GES, is of the view broader consultation should be done with stakeholders.
At the end of September, we don't have any problem. The problem we have is, how do they do that? Is it that we are still going to place the destiny of these teachers in the hands of the heads of department who will not do the validation because it is their responsibility in the first place? As for the teacher, he has not done anything wrong. And so we expect that the Controller and Ghana Education Service will engage.
General Secretary of the Teachers and Education Workers Union, TEWO, asked the GES to employ more staff to facilitate the validation process.
The heads of institutions or management are co-opting teachers who should be in the classroom. They are co-opting them to come to the non-teaching, to the secretariat or the offices to do non-teaching work. And we think that is not proper. It must stop.
Augustine Kabo argued the monthly validation of the teachers should be stopped.
All managers of the various ministries, departments, and agencies must gather all their database of staff, credible database, based on which their HR or management system can be able to validate without the individual staff having to go to a place or go to the net or the system to validate him or herself personally.
Let's go back to our earlier story about the revocation of the licenses given to Exton Cubic Group by the government, and they announced by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister earlier on. Samomalto is joining me back on Skype. Samomalto, you're making a point, but you said that the likes of your organization are happy and you are against every form of mining in the forest reserves. But the basis for the revocation is not so much about that. It's about they not fulfilling certain requirements. It appears that if those requirements are fulfilled, definitely the government will still be issuing licenses for people to go mine in our forest reserves, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the whole point. Some people need to be the conscience of society, the conscience and the protectors of our heritage. Listen, we can't continue mining everywhere. Let's mine some places, but at least for areas that we say and declare as forest reserves for now and for future, let's at least maintain those areas. That is another fight we'll fight another day. But on this particular case, the point that we have always raised in the last few weeks has always been that there are too many inconsistencies, which gives us reason to really, really question the process of allocation. Originally, the 29th December allocation of a mining lease to Exton Cubic really baffled us. Because in our understanding, somewhere in June 2016, the company had a prospecting license. Now, you can't actually have a prospecting. For us, what we find interesting is that a company in less than 6 months moves from prospecting to full-scale mining lease. Within the mining allocation process, there are several layers that you go through So you need to do your reconnaissance, you need to do your prospecting, and then you need to do your proper mining lease. It seemed the company had jumped straight from prospecting to mining lease. And then EPA comes in back to say, okay, you haven't done your EIA, you haven't seen your scoping report, we haven't seen this report. So most of us were like, we are really, really confused about this. People are holding information and are not being transparent about the process. So the minister revoking it is not really the final solution. It really raises a whole lot of questions. One of the questions is transparency about the process. Let's also understand that minerals are vested in the president on behalf for the people of Ghana. So the actions of the minister, past or present, is supposed to reflect the good of the people of Ghana. And we have a right to know what has happened and what has not happened. So what we really need to know about this deal is who is telling us what and who is not telling us the information. Exxon Cubic say they have fulfilled all the conditions precedent. The minister, the EPA says they haven't fulfilled it. Who do we actually believe? I mean, we are inclined to believe the state and its institutions. But this is the same state and its institution that is still contradicting itself. So, Alfred, I think there are a lot of questions. I think this is just early days yet. I think there are a lot more things that we are going to see about this particular deal.
Let's take a quick backtrack. And if you recall, when this issue came up first, the minister in question, John Peter Amego, actually came out to defend this group. I mean, for the lack of better expression, that they had fulfilled all requirements and what they are doing is legal. Can the minister be excused from his earlier comments in defense of this particular company that he's come out to say that licenses have been revoked now? Because he is the sector minister. He must have been briefed about this particular situation before coming out to speak in the first place.
Alfred, there are things that happen within the ministry. I have no idea what happens. But essentially, I mean, I see Peter Mel as somebody who is committed to the fight of cleaning our natural resources, the fight against Galamsey, even if I have issues with that. I think he's the first person who is, not the first, but at least he's a minister who is taking on the task. So in essence, I would say the minister's heart is in the right place. So there are a few things, there are a few lapses I would want to forgive him for it. I think him coming out last week to say the company has a mining lease and therefore what they're doing is legal, I think it's a bit unfortunate. Because then again, having that piece of paper which says it's a mining lease is not enough. The process for acquiring it is as important as the paper itself. Evidently, the background work, as he has presented today in the press statement, says that the background work has not been done. So the process is faulty. And therefore, the lease that he has is also therefore faulty. I mean, he is right when he says that once you acquire a mining lease, I mean, it is the ultimate right for you to go and do your mineral extraction, and therefore you can go and do it. So in one breath, he is right. Evidently, he didn't have all the information. And coming out strongly without all the information to come and stick your neck out like that, I think it wasn't really, really right. I think the people around him perhaps didn't feed him all the right information. And that is why I really expect the Minerals Commission to be really working more closely with the minister than has demonstrated in the last week. At least they are the ones who run through, who make sure that the processes for minerals application run through them. And therefore, they should be the ones that are advising the minister and giving him all the set of facts that these are the problems we face, this is right, this is not right. So perhaps the minister came out too early to say things. He should have looked at his homework well, or he should have done his homework before coming to declare that everything is right. People are calling for his resignation, but I think Peter Meu's heart is in the right place. There are some lapses which can be forgiven. He has seen what is wrong. He has come out to say it is wrong, and therefore, based on powers conferred on him by the Minerals and Mining Act, he is revoking it. I think we are still in the right direction. A few things can be forgiven.
Thank you, Malto, for your time this evening. I'm grateful. So Malto is the National Coordinator of Civic Response and Forest Watch Ghana, a civil society organization in the forestry sector in this country. We'll be back shortly. We're also live here on News 360 with some more news to stay.
All right, thanks for staying with us on News 360. It's time for us to do some business updates now. My name is Nanekia Mensah Brampa, and today is actually the working day, talking about Ghana's paperless ports, day 4 of it, and already freight forwarders have been obliged to access the online paperless transaction on the 4th day of its implementation. While many had very little knowledge of the process, others will not even commence the transaction. We'll be getting you more detail to that particular one. But to some more stories tonight, Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo has challenged African leaders to come up with innovative funding alternatives to enable it to invest in industrialization. This, he said, could be achieved by leveraging its natural resources and reducing excessive borrowing.
Africa's development paradigm has largely been characterized by borrowing to invest in order to achieve some set targets. The outcome, however, is not pleasant, as many of our countries are crumbling under debt, which is stifling investment in critical areas. This situation has been partly blamed on lack of capacity by public officials to negotiate better international transactions. At the 26th Board of Governors meeting of the African Capacity Building Foundation, experts discussed how to strengthen capacity to mobilize capital for development.
Ghana is significantly intensifying efforts to close loopholes and optimize existing laws to boost our own domestic resource mobilization. Secondly, and importantly, Accra is now home to ACBF's Regional Office for West Central and North Africa.
The Deputy Chairperson of the African Union, Kwesi Kwartey, is of the view lack of capacity explains the huge implementation gap on the continent, which has impeded development outcomes.
An Africa where illiteracy is a thing of the past. That is why we find the government of Ghana's free SHS policy such a bold and important move in the right direction. We in Africa have grown a little tired of seeing our children desperately trying to cross the Sahara on foot, getting drowned in the Mediterranean Sea in the hope of an El Dorado in Europe which is non-existent, and in an Europe we just don't want them.
Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo wants African governments to explore innovative funding alternatives.
Our debt to GDP is about 70%. So when you talk about normal borrowing, we've virtually reached our limit. But we need to exploit the bauxite we have. We need to exploit the iron ore we have to develop this and generate employment for the youth. How do we access capital aside of borrowing? We have $460 billion worth of bauxite in the ground. Assuming we use 10 billion of this to leverage the exploitation of this bauxite and access the 460 billion and create employment for thousands of our team young.
For 25 years, the ACBF has spearheaded the training of economists and public sector managers.
And as part of its Africa expansion plans, Media General Group has appointed Pearl Isua-Mensah as Group CEO. She is the first female Group Chief Executive Officer to head a private media conglomerate and takes over from John Chiame, whose contract expired on September 4.
Pearl Isua-Mensah is an astute business leader and dynamic professional with over 20 years global experience, leading and consulting for businesses in different sectors in Ghana and abroad. She will lead the Media General strategy to expand and become a leading African conglomerate in news and entertainment. Apart from TV3, Media General also owns the fast-growing stations Onua, 3FM, Akuma, Connect, 3news.com online offer and Adisa Production. Until her appointment, she was the founder and CEO of Finest Limited, a leading consulting firm.
Well, I saw earlier I was talking about freight forwarders who were obliged to access the online paperless transaction on the 4th day of its implementation. We spoke to some of them, and let's hear what they had to say.
Experience with the online.
At first, when we send the declaration online,
or the normal process. When it comes, when the declaration comes, they approve it. You have custom officer's name on the declaration, so you know which custom officer you have to present a document to. But for now, I sent my declaration today. I didn't see any custom officer's name on the document, so I was confused. That's why I came here. When I came to, I didn't see any custom officer, so I was confused, and I'm still confused how to process my documents.
So from here, what next?
That's the question, because for me, I don't know what to do next.
So have you also accessed the online?
No, I have not yet, because I'm even sending a declaration now. It's not going through. I'm sending now as I'm speaking to you. My office, the system, nothing is going through, and I'm supposed to pay duty today too, but nothing is going through. You know, at first, as he was saying, as we have here, we have Samia Banji. That is a compliance officer's name at first. So after paying like this, then you go to Samia Banji, then you put the document there, then he works for you. But now, as my colleague is saying, he has paid no compliance officer. So how do we know, or how do we know that the compliance officer has worked on our documents?
Right, so these and more are some of the challenges of going paperless at the ports. Well, we'll be monitoring that, especially looking at its sustainability there at the Tema port and the others. But that will do for the business segment this evening. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. Let's go back to Alfred and Natalie for more on News360.
Thank you. You know, these hiccups are expected the first few days.
Definitely.
It's something that has some positives. It must work. Obviously, have to get it right. But away from that, some frustrated senior high school applicants and their parents besieged the Education Ministry to demand SHS placement. A 48-hour directive to qualified applicants by the ministry has sent prospective students and their parents scrambling to beat the deadline.
The Education Ministry premises frustrated parents and prospective SHS students in a mad rush to beat the deadline. They recounted the difficulties registering online to be placed. Others cannot even access their results.
I passed all right, but I didn't get the placement. When I get to I used the MTN to check it. They said all my 4 choices, I have lost it. And I said, okay. So I tried using the website. It will come. You try to select your suite, but it will just go off. It won't come again. So today we came to the office here, education office, and they said they directed us to go to NIT, IT, to go and check it over there. When we get there too, they said the website is down.
When we start checking the result, it's still blocked. So that's the reason why we came back to this. The Ghana Education Service.
So your daughter has not seen her result?
No. Even right now, when we came, they asked us to go so that we should go back and check it on Friday. That's what they say. So we are totally frustrated and we don't know what to do.
The ministry convened an emergency news briefing to apologize to parents for the difficulties encountered, blaming internet connectivity. Initially, the ministry gave students 48 hours to register or risk forfeiting their placement, but has now rescinded its directive. Dr. Asiedu-Dartey is the Deputy Minister of Education.
At the end of the 2 days, if your child is not enrolled, we're not going to cut him or cut her off. We had about 92% of the students declared as placed in regards to the fact that they are seized for them. Now, the 8% are those who did not do on the exams. They are students who have a number of fails.
He again promised parents to exercise restraint and channel their concerns to the Free SHS Secretariat.
We are making sure that there are backup plans. We are working with NIT in Accra opposite busy internet. There are places open for parents who may have connectivity issues. We are looking at options around the country. Internet cafe and other places, we are talking to them, how they can open access to our parents.
The Deputy Education Minister warned headmasters not to demand unauthorized fees from parents and PTAs.
We've made it abundantly clear to our headmasters that money should not be the reason why a student does not go to school, and therefore no parent should receive a bill. If PTA meets and decide in consultation with GES that there's something they want to do and they want parents to contribute, it will not be mandatory.
Meanwhile, 60 out of 92% of students have been posted, while the remaining representing 36,000 students are yet to be placed.
Now, the 2017-2018 academic year is set to officially begin on September 11. Obviously, as you would expect, leaving many parents and students and their wards just perplexed and not really knowing what the way forward is. Many of them, as you saw in the story earlier, they're unfamiliar with the system and have no idea of what the next step is and are quite agitated. I'm going to run you through the 2017 SHS placement. The numbers of registered candidates is a total number of 460,941. That's indicated in a statement by the Education Ministry. And the candidates who qualified, out of this number, the candidates who qualified to be placed, representing 92%, is 424,092. These are those who actually qualified to be placed. And so the rest of them. Now, 267,327 candidates secured schools of their choice. So they might be quite pleased with the system so far. And away from that, 150,770 candidates could not be placed in a school of their choice. And that leaves them sort of having to chart their own path. Specifically, these students have been asked to be able to log on to myjhsresults.net and select an option available to them within 48 hours from September 1, which leaves many of these students not really knowing what the way forward is. And we know that the Education Ministry has also extended this period of time. So we hope that they can meet it by September 11, Alfred.
Absolutely. And this 48-hour period is, tomorrow is the last day, and we'll see how it pans out. We're going to stay on this, but congratulations to you, because I'm coming to you, Natalie. TV3's Natalie Fort has been presented with the Excellent Personality Award for the month of August 2017. The honor was in recognition of her role as a broadcast journalist and news anchor in the News and Current Affairs Department.
The award was in recognition of her confidence, audience appeal, and delivery of news as an anchor on media general platforms. CEO Premier Brands Erica Fedu said the award is intended to encourage individuals in various groups and organizations to give of their best.
In August, we did a research to identify how news anchors impact on the growth of a brand, how they get appreciated, how the audience reacted to news anchors. And when we did the research, we had Miss Natalie Ford scoring highest when it comes to personality.
Natalie Ford expressed her gratitude for the honor and thanked the news team for their support.
It helps me and makes me know that the work that I'm doing in media and broadcasting is being appreciated and recognized. I believe that as young people, especially as I give this to young girls, because it's important for us to seek to be the best, not only in our countries, but in the continent and the world as a whole, and to practice international standards in broadcasting and journalism. It was quite an honor to receive that award from Premier Brand, so thank you to the entire Media General team. We'll bring you more news shortly here on News 360. Stay with us.
Good evening, sports news time now on News 360. My name is Michael Otioje. Let's get into the details. And Ghana's Black Stars are due in Brazzaville tonight ahead of their 2018 World Cup qualifier against Congo. Ghana, 6 points adrift of leaders Uganda in Group E, traveled with 19 players after some key members of the side pulled out citing injuries and illness. Ghana Football Association Communications Director Ibrahim Sanidara explains.
We'll be heading towards the airport. Some players are here, a few others are not here for injury reasons. We'll make do with what we have and go to Congo for the game. Those who are not available to play from the last team are Andre Ayew and Jordan Ayew. Let me also put it on record that Harrison Afful is not feeling too well. He also, has some stomach upset. But Harrison says he wants to travel with the team to offer his support. I've also just received information from the technical team that Captain Asamoah has also sought permission from his club in Turkey to join the team. We have heard from Ebenezer. He will also join the team. Let's use this opportunity also to wish him well in these difficult moments. For a player to come on national team duty and suffer this traumatic armed robbery attack is something that we would not wish for players of our national team.
So here's the situation with the Black Stars. They are 2 points. They have only 2 points from their first 3 games of the qualifiers, and it's left them a staggering 6 points behind Uganda. It means that the Black Stars are in danger of failing to reach a 4th straight World Cup. But midfielder Christian Achu is hoping they can salvage the little left of a disappointing campaign.
We don't care about what will happen, but we have something to fight for, which is the nation of Ghana, so we are going there to fight for the nation. We are all motivated because this is what we do for a living, and this is our career, this is our work, and the nation is supporting Ghana, so we cannot make any decisions for ourselves. We are just going there to work hard, knowing that Ghana is behind the Blasters, so we are going to fight for the nation.
Christian, do you feel like there's still a chance?
There are a lot of surprises in football, and it's difficult, but nothing is impossible, so we just go there and then try to win.
Can you give us a fair idea of the sort of mood that was in the dressing room after the game? You guys left the stadium to boos. It's never happened in Kumasi before. What did you make of just the way this level of disappointment that people came with?
Yeah, we the players, we understand that at this point we let the nation down, but also we also want the nation to know that we were fighting for them, and it didn't go well for all of us. So
let's get into the details of some of the stories now. And as you can see in the background, a number of games have happened already. Cameroon held Nigeria to a 1-1 draw. Simon Moses scoring the opening goal for Nigeria, but Victor Abubakar equalizing from the spot. It means that Nigeria's bid to qualify for the World Cup is put on hold. Later on Tuesday, Algeria are playing against Zambia. There's not much at stake there. Ivory Coast versus Gabon, a lot in that group. Mali will be trying to avenge a 0-6 loss to Morocco from over the weekend. And in Group D, Burkina Faso versus Senegal. 3 teams in that group separated by 2 points, so there is a huge game there. And then Congo versus Ghana. The real difference there could be what happens in the Egypt versus Uganda game in Alexandria. Let's take a few tennis notes, and boxing notes. And Bulgaria's Kubrat Pulev has confirmed he will face Britain's IBF and WBA heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in Cardiff on 28th October. The 36-year-old is the mandatory challenger for Joshua's IBF title. The bout has not been confirmed by Joshua's team, with promoter Eddie Hearns stating an announcement will be made on Tuesday instead. That's all the sports for now. A few notes from the ongoing US Open. Rafa Nadal through to the next stage. Roger Federer plays later tonight. And world number 1, Pliskova, also through in the women's section.
And this evening, Central Region representative for Ghana's Most Beautiful 2017, Baba picked up 2 out of 3 awards on Sunday during the second live show of the competition. The mental health nurse delivered a message on tolerance and good customer relations, which gave her the upper hand on the judges' score sheet. Yes, Adwa Mofa says highlights of yesterday's event.
Baba was awarded the most eloquent and star performer for the evening. Portraying a day in the life of a trader, she wowed the judges with her delivery. Best dressed for the night, Zainab, who is the Northern Regional representative, played the role of a rude office secretary who got sacked for maltreating clients. Judges said her outfit was the perfect fit for the role, hence the award.
You are fired, and I mean it. You are joking, please. Don't do this to me, I beg you. This is the only job I have, but I don't have anyone to. Oh, please, boss, I don't.
The others took up the challenge to showcase other trades and professions and the struggles they go through daily.
Made of. What is it? Charlie. That's it. Charlie, I beg. You throw one your dinner beg. That's it. Come on, I top a beg.
And the city way, to women so. You're very this guy. You're very cash. You're very cash. And here, men trust us. It's all about this.
The acts were geared towards sensitizing the public to treat every profession with respect. Judges were impressed with their individual performances and said it was a big improvement on the previous show. They admonished the contestants not to relent in their efforts, but work harder. Ghana's most beautiful, straight out of Ghana.
Certainly gets more and more exciting on Ghana's Most Beautiful every other week. We'll bring you some international news here on News 360 shortly. Stay with us.